Good evening. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. I'm Tony Haggerty at the Haggerty10 on the X handle, and I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley, who's still outside Celtic Park in the car park somewhere. Ryan, used to be a beautiful Sunday. It's now become a beautiful Wednesday. Celtic 2, Dundee 0, reaction broadcast. Rodgers' side moved 9 points clear of Rangers after a second half double from Alistair Johnson and a penalty from Arne Engels. Finally break down Dundee. Ryan, they got there in the end, didn't they? Job done.
Just about, yeah. It wasn't a vintage Celtic performance, that is for sure. A lot of players didn't take their opportunity tonight that was handed to them. There was a bit of excitement before the game at certain players getting handed a start. I don't think many players did themselves justice in the game tonight, in all honesty. I thought maybe your better players came from the back, with regard to the likes of Carter Vickers playing 70 minutes, Austin Trusty playing a full 90 minutes, Alistair Johnson coming off the bench and winning. I think that was I think that summed up the game as a whole. So the stadium's man of the match was Alistair Johnson.
Yes.
Alistair Johnson came on as a sub after 60 minutes. So he played 30 minutes and he got man of the match. That kind of sums up the way the game went for Celtic tonight. Frustrating one. First half was really frustrating to watch Celtic because they were getting into really good areas, getting into really good opportunities, and bluffing their chances. I mean, I remember Kyogo in particular having two really big chances, but the second one that went wide of the post.
Absolutely.
I'll be doing Stats Bomb tomorrow afternoon. I would be very surprised if that's below 0.6, 0.65. It was as good a chance as Kyogo's going to get. And I was saying to the people around me, and half jokingly, but I also think there's some truth to it, I would trust Kyogo more from 20, 25 yards out than I would if he's 2 yards out or 3 or 4, because I just don't think he's as lethal from close range. I don't know what it is, but he seems to squander these massive opportunities. Thankfully, it didn't impact the result. Celtic moved 9 points clear of Rangers. Aberdeen did their part of the deal, and now Celtic face off against Aberdeen on Saturday. It's the big one, the League Cup semi-final. There's nothing to separate the two, and now we're going into a one-off game with Aberdeen at Hampden to decide who is the first participant in the League Cup final. That's quite exciting, if you ask me, and it's going to be one hell of an evening at Hampden. Looking forward to it already.
I usually talk about the rip-roaring, free-scoring, never boring Celtic, Ryan, but I think tonight it was a case of uninspiring misfiring, wasn't it? Perspiring.
A bit boring.
Go Celtic, wasn't it?
And a bit boring as well, especially in the first half. In fact, do you know, I think that's a bit harsh in me saying that, because I'm looking back on it and thinking they were getting into really good areas. The passing looked crisp in some moments, but it's almost as if they lost belief in themselves after 20, 25 minutes, because they were passing it into good areas, and then when they did get in front of goal, they just didn't take their chances. But it was a bit of a toil until Celtic got the opener. Thankfully, they got their second not long after. I think there's a bit of contentiousness to talk about that penalty. I cannot believe it stood, to be quite honest with you. Not the penalty, but the fact that about 10, 15 seconds before, there is a clear tug on Silla's jersey by
Arne Engels, I think it was, wasn't
Arne
it?
Engels. It's a yellow card offence. It's a clear tug back, and I like to call a spade with these decisions. I would be infuriated if that went against me.
Was given to
because the VAR was checking for the foul. It was checking on the foul in the box, not on the foul in the lead up to the goal. I like to call a spade a spade.
I think Celtic TV said that they were checking to see if there was a foul in the lead up to the foul that led to the penalty. So don't know why they've not picked that up from Engels, but listen, they got it, and Arne Engels dispatched it with aplomb. Celtic have found a penalty taker, thankfully, Ryan.
They found a penalty taker, but I'm right at this moment in time, I'm struggling to see what else he's doing on the football pitch. Is that harsh for me to say? I didn't think he was that great again tonight.
No.
I thought he was a bit of a wallflower in the midfield. He just allowed the game. He's not been great. He's not showing the things that I would like to see an £11 million player. And I know that Brendan Rodgers defended him and said that he's a young player, he's only going to get better. we know it's in him. If for whatever reason he's not showing it at this point, a couple of nice touches here and there, a couple of nice moves forward, but I feel like he's struggling out there at the moment, and I'm glad that he gets his penalty and he can maybe breathe a sigh,
Yeah,
contributed, but apart from that, he didn't really do too much else.
I think it was another one of those games where the manager made too many changes, but
Yep.
redeemed himself with the substitutions because they had a big impact on the outcome, final scoreline. But we did have our reservations about 6 changes at the start, and then obviously giving fringe players like Yang and Palma their chance. But Ryan, I don't like having a go at Celtic players, but Yang and Palma for me, and I think Hamish said it this morning as well, I think the two of them will be lucky to still be at Celtic in January at this rate on the basis of that kind of evidence. I think both of them can either go out on loan or I wouldn't be surprised to see them permanently transferred. Rodgers said that they know their levels, and yeah, sometimes you can understand it might be difficult to find rhythm, but these guys train every day with the first team. They know the high bar that they set, and I just felt both of them just they weren't interested in taking their man on. Greg Taylor was berating Palmer for losing the ball and not giving him an out ball to hit. His crossing was wayward when he got in wide positions. Palmer just didn't do, and that's what I say. Every time he starts, he just doesn't do anything. And then Yang on the other side wasn't much better. I just feel that the two of them have shown exactly why they are fringe players at Celtic. They ain't displacing Maeda and Kuhn, and the manager will be in the market for another wide player come January.
I think it'll be Balikwisha once he's proved his fitness,
Yeah,
because Celtic
possibly.
wanted him. They wanted
Yeah,
him in the summer. They were apparently in talks with Royal Antwerp before he got that injury.
yeah.
They didn't sign anyone to play that left side. They kind of they focused their attention on other pieces of the puzzle. I think they'll go back to that particular piece in January. I've not actually seen how he's doing. Royal Antwerp. I want to do a quick Google search while you're next speaking to see how he's actually done. But if he's proved his fitness and he's shown what Brendan Rodgers liked about him, because there was serious interest in the player, then I would expect Celtic to go back in for him. The player would want the move to Celtic, I believe.
Yeah.
And if there's a deal that can be made in order to bolster those wide positions, then I think everybody would be all for it. James Forrest can play as a second choice next to Kuhn. Kuhn's first choice. It's the levels between Kuhn and Yang and Palma, for the former is just, it's incredible. He's about 3 or 4 levels up. And that's testament to him, because I was talking about him in the same sort of breath as these players when he joined in January and February time. He's upped his game. These players haven't. They've actually regressed because they were showing more last season under Brendan Rodgers against the likes of Aberdeen and Dundee. I remember Yang tore Owen Beck apart in one game. He really did tear him apart. He seems to have regressed. I thought he did a couple of okay things in the game, a couple of nice runs, but nothing tangible, nothing that you can hold or really cling to onto. Palma's an infuriating player to watch. He's one of those players that
Those two guys should be ripping it up. They should be the best players in the park. They've got the biggest points to prove. They should be hungry and demanding the ball. They should be attacking their fullback, trying to get crosses in, trying to be creative. For me, they just didn't want the ball. And, people in the comments are saying I'm scapegoating those two. And there was other players that weren't particularly great, Ralston and Taylor being mentioned as well. Yeah, I get that, but I'm looking for something productive from two wingers. I know people are also saying about Dyson Maeda too, that has close control. And I've spoken at length about Dyson Maeda, how he's the Forrest Gump of that Celtic team, and his crossing could be better, and his end product could be better. But he's still one of Celtic's top scorers this season.
He is Celtic's top goal scorer alongside Nicholas Kuhn. Both
So
are wingers and both have 6 goals this campaign. They've got the proof. The proof is in the pudding for these players. They're contributing.
Yang and Palmer tonight didn't look like they were going to get anywhere near scoring a goal, let alone create one. So, and I just think Palmer has it in his head that he's a far better player than he actually is, which is a dangerous territory for a footballer.
See, with that point, I actually think it's the opposite, and I think he's in his head, and he thinks he's a dreadful player. I know that it can sometimes come across as that. I think he's in his head. I think he's completely in his head, and you can see the pressure on him. I'm not trying to back him or give him mindless praise or undeserved praise or whatever. I just think he is a player whose confidence is absolutely shot at the moment. He is a player that looks like a shadow of the player that came last season. For the first 2-3 months, he was absolutely brilliant for Brendan Rodgers. He was getting goals, he was getting assists, he's scoring in the Champions League. Should have scored against Lazio, scored against Atletico Madrid. Looked every inch a good player. So we were saying it's a bargain for a player that's $3.5 million because look at the goals, look at the assists. Something has changed, and I just think it's all down to a lack of belief. And he doesn't look like he can beat a man, Tony. He looks
just think he hit some kind of comfort zone. And just thought, yep, I've kind of that's me. I've contributed. I'm doing well, and there we go. Somebody saying I'm being a little hard on Palma because he was trying too hard. Fine. I accept that you may be trying too hard, but you're a winger. Got to take your man on. You didn't once try and beat him, man. Somebody said it's no his game, he's no good pace, but fine, you can still beat wingers without pace. You can still beat your defenders without pace. Got some trickery. But I never once saw him receive the ball and be positive and go at them. And then one of the times he got the ball out wide, I think he had actually manoeuvred himself into a bit of space and he crossed it out the park.
Yep.
I mean, unbelievable.
I think you can hear the groans now as well when he's on the ball and when he does something, and that's difficult to come back from because it feels as if the confidence isn't there for the player, but the confidence isn't in the stands either for the fans. They don't expect anything to come when the ball goes to Palma, and there was a good shot that he had that the goalkeeper did well to save from distance. It was a routine save, but he did work the goalkeeper. But all in all, it was a disappointing evening for the player, and I expected more. I wanted to see more from Palma tonight, and I don't think he didn't try hard in the game because he was constantly asking for the ball. But see, when he's getting given the ball and he's constantly doing negative things with it, such as dispossessing it, making the ball go out of play, it's not helping his cause, it's hindering him. And every time that happens, it felt as if the groans get louder and louder. The only player that I can compare that to was with Mikey Johnson. It was the complete same. When the belief is gone from the supporters in the stadium, it's a difficult place to come back from. I just don't think he's got a long-term future, unfortunately.
Neither do
I. And it's a shame. But
I don't like saying that about Celtic players, but I need to be shown more. If Brendan Rodgers is talking about these guys know the levels, then I think they'll. I get that, but yeah, that is a worry.
That is literally what happened tonight. I think that's a great summation of how he played. Because he tried, but it was awful.
Aye, but working quite hard is just a prerequisite for a Celtic player. So I've got to be honest. And as I say, I think Taylor was giving him pelters for. Well, he was losing cheap possession at times and not offering. Taylor was running into space and Palma wasn't moving. And you're thinking, well, give him an option, give him something to hit. Don't just stand on his toes and be right beside him. I don't know. Certainly, both of them were given a chance, and I think the manager's got lots of food for thought there in terms of moving forward and what he needs. And I know people are saying, they've not had any game time. I get that too, but they train with this team and they know the standards that are required. They look at Maida and Cooney and you say to yourself, well, I'm going to have to go some to dislodge or displace either of those two. I just didn't see that today. I didn't see that hunger, that appetite, an attitude that says to the manager, I want to win that semi-final team. I just didn't see that. You can convince managers, that yellow jersey thing that I talk about. But yeah, I just felt pretty let down and disappointed by them, and I don't say that about too many Celtic players because I don't like saying it about them. So, and yeah, I get that trying hard, maybe trying too hard, but for me, that's effort's a prerequisite for any Celtic player taking to the field. I need to see more. I'm sorry, I don't make any excuses for it. For people can say you're having a pop. I'm going with what I witnessed. I just didn't see. I saw two wingers, arguably, as you say, bereft of confidence, but it's up to them to perform. You know, they've been given a start. You know, go and show something. Show the manager, prove why you should still be here.
These criticisms would have been a lot louder if Celtic had dropped points in this game, so they'll get away with it. But I think the damage has already been done for the two of them, and I think they'll look for their futures elsewhere. Their futures will be lying elsewhere or happening elsewhere in January or beyond. I just don't see a long-term future for either of them. And they kind of proved why they haven't played a lot of games this season. They showed tonight why they've not been in the starting lineup, or they've not been coming off the bench. They're used as unused subs.
I'm not exempting Kyogo from this either.
No, I think that needs to be spoken about.
Why he's missing sitters galore, and it's not the first time that he's missed sitters in a Celtic game this season. He's making a habit of missing sitters.
And Tony, one of the worst things that happened. One of the worst things that happened was he dummied the ball when it was a good opportunity for him. It came to him in the second half. Put your laces through it or side foot it into the back of the net. Instead, I'm not going to say he shirked these responsibilities, but he also passed it on. He passed on the opportunity to somebody else. There was nobody there. He shirked away from taking on the shot, and that's a player that's low on confidence, in my opinion.
The second one that he missed, the one he put wide of the target, it's harder to do that. And to actually, he's got the whole frame of the goal, and he is yards out, 2-3 yards out. The Kyogo of old bursts the net with that. I don't know what's happening with him, and if maybe it is a confidence thing, or again, people saying he's trying too hard. But you know this trying too hard thing, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me, and you know, and he is not doing what comes naturally to him. You know, so I don't know what's happened, but it's becoming a regular feature of his game, Ryan, where he's missing sitters, which was not part of his makeup because he was pretty lethal up until this season in terms of chances. And you're maybe right, maybe he is better trying to attempt shots from further out, but I don't know what's going on with him. And that's why it was a worry when Adam Reeder got injured. But, you know, I think if Adam Reeder can prove his fitness, he could lead the line on Saturday.
Very possibly, yeah. It seems as if it's all positive with Brendan Rodgers. He did some work today individually with the trainers, which is good, which bodes well for potentially the weekend. Get back into training, maybe if not tomorrow, then Friday in preparation for the Saturday's game. He'll still be in good nick because he's been training all season. He's only missed a couple of days. He need a day or so to get back into the swing of things. But the fact that it's only bruising is good, and the fact that Nicholas Kuhn and Cal McGregor look as if they'll be okay for the weekend as well. That's a great triple boost. Celtic need Nicholas Kuhn, and they showed tonight. All of a sudden, there's a bit of a reliance on his creativity out on the right-hand side. As much as James Forrest is a good sub, I think that's all that he is. I don't think he can be starting games either. So it's Nicholas Kuhn's position. He is by far Celtic's best winger in the team. Out and out, Daizen Maeda gives you stuff defensively, and so does Nicholas Kuhn, by the way. But in terms of out and out wing play, there's nobody better, both in Celtic's team and in Scotland than Nicholas Kuhn for what he does. The numbers don't lie, and when you take those numbers out of the team struggles as a result. And he did struggle out in the wing tonight because when you lose one of your best players, if not your best player this season, the team is going to suffer as a result. And I thought they did out wide.
Love it. Tony, go to your bed and get some sleep. You're awful naggy to it. I'm not being naggy. I'm just, listen, you don't have to agree. You're allowed your own opinion. I'm voicing my opinion, and I think it's valid. So it's certain players didn't impress me tonight. I was looking for more. Henrik McLarsson saying the second half performance was excellent. 10 minutes of the second half was excellent.
Yeah, they only played for 10
That
minutes. Let's be
Declan White
honest.
sure needs addressed in January. It does. You know, that's what I'm watching as well. I said it in management analysis that we need more players in the wide areas. So there you go. Daniel Phillips a wee bit more. Thanks for the post-match briefing tonight, Tony Ryan. I've enjoyed the match and your briefings. That's very kind. Appreciate that. I've been told to get to my bed right there. I love that. Cheers, love it. Fine.
Yeah. I mean, we can touch upon the positives, and a lot of the positives kind of lie away from Celtic Park at this moment in time because of what happened 15 minutes later at Pittodrie after full time. I think everybody was watching the score to see what would happen. It was a pretty good position for Celtic to be in because it got late on in the game and you're like, it's either going to be an equaliser for Rangers or Aberdeen are going to win another game. Either way, Rangers were going to drop points. Just so happened that Aberdeen got another win, a massive win against Rangers 2-1. You know, that's a statement result. You know, they've played Celtic and Rangers already this season and they've picked up 4 points out of 6. That's some going for Jimmy Phelan's side, especially since he's a new manager coming into his first job in Scotland. Sort of getting used to the geography, getting used to the way the league goes, and you know, to not have a single defeat on his record so far is really some going. And Rodgers was quick to praise Aberdeen, you know, Celtic's next opponents, and all of this is applicable and relevant because
we asked about Aberdeen,
them on Saturday.
He had no choice but to praise him because he was asked the question. Thomas Burns, 9 points ahead of Rangers. That's a positive. That's the result I wanted because I still feel that Rangers will be Celtic's closest challenger. I think Aberdeen are riding the crest of a wave at the minute and they'll be hoping that long may that continue for them. But yeah, it's and you play them in the semi-final on Saturday and that'll be another cracking game, I would conjecture.
The fact that it's not a league game as well, it's a one-off game. I think it's going to be a firefight between the two sides.
Yeah,
it's going to be an attacking game. It's going to be a great game for the neutral to watch. Don't think we'll have any neutrals tuning into the briefing at this time of night. I think it'll all be the hardcore element of the Celtic support, especially or the Nighthawks of the Celtic support. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a great game at Hampden. 2 good games, 2 very interesting games, I would say, in the League Cup over the weekend. Because I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Motherwell and Rangers on Sunday as well. I'm actually quite glad that Celtic are playing first because the pitch will be in really good condition for the game against Aberdeen. Always worry when the game is played the second game in 2 games in 2 days, then the pitch is kind of cut up and it suffers as a result. It feels like the real prestige game, the highlight game, is on first. The 2 top teams in the country at the moment facing off against each other at Hampden.
Be more of a fitting final, I think, Celtic Aberdeen, but it's not. They've been drawn in the semi-final, and I think it'll be a rip snorter of a game, Ryan. It'll be
me too.
Blood and thunder, and looking forward to it because I want to see how Aberdeen approach this one as well, and I think the two of them will go at it. And as Brendan Rodgers said, Celtic have got a decent record at Hampden, so your players enjoy playing at Hampden. They love Hampden, so yeah, we shall see. But no, it will be, as I say, I think it's got all the hallmarks of a cracker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in terms of Aberdeen games, we preview them to the ends of the earth, honestly. But they're big games now, and I'm glad at that because it's an extra fixture to look forward to. I always look forward to games against Aberdeen because I think Celtic Aberdeen is always a good game to look out for. But even more so that they're a bit of a force at the moment in the Premiership. And as I've said a number of times now, but it's a separate game. It's a separate competition. It's a knockout tie. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a great atmosphere on Saturday. I'm looking forward to sampling it with your good self at Hampden Park. Saturday night football under the lights, under the floodlights, potentially. You can't beat it. National Stadium. I know that Hampden has its detractors and its negatives, but it's really good on a Saturday night when the floodlights are down and it's a League Cup game. I love that 5:30 slot. 5:30 kickoff, yeah? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
It's a perfect slot for a game of football. Saturday night, you cannot beat it.
Yeah, it'll be a decent occasion, cracking spectacle. But back to tonight, I mean, I think the biggest positive is that Celtic won. That's they made
Job done.
heavy weather of it, but they got the job done. They are 9 points ahead of Rangers, so it's that's the scenario that I wanted. Lots of people were saying a draw and to move 2 points ahead in the table, but I was all for being 9 points ahead of Rangers before Halloween. That I think that's, as I said earlier this morning, at this moment in time with this Rangers team, I think that's irretrievable, insurmountable, because I don't see Celtic losing 3 games between now and the end of the season. That's as it stands just now, but it is still early days and things can change, and you might think things might change down Ibrox way, but again, that's their concern. It's not Celtic's concern. Celtic can only knock down the Skittles as they come along, and Dundee were okay, weren't they? They didn't pose much in an attacking threat, so you didn't really know about Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty because they were hardly tested. Kind of strolled through it, didn't they? Really?
I thought that their positioning was good for the most part. Cameron
Yeah.
Carter-Vickers won a couple of nice wee duels. Austin Trusty has just been solid. I quite like him as a player. I think he's grown into that role as a Celtic player. It's a great option to have off the bench as well with Liam Scales, and he got a nice reception when he came onto the park, which he deserves because he deserves the adulation and for really stepping in over the past year. That's not to say he's going to be anywhere. I would personally start him at the weekend against Aberdeen. I think you need his leadership and his presence. I think he'll come right back in. Although there is a debate to be had because Austin Trusty's he started the last. I'd be putting a rough estimate on it, but it's the last 6, 7, 8 games now. He's played in all of them. You know, it's going to be difficult to dislodge him from his position at the moment, but that's all down to merit. It's now let's see how well he's actually done now that Carter-Vickers is back and Liam Scales is fully fit. They've had the two, they've played them for 70 minutes together. Carter-Vickers lasted longer than I thought he would. I thought they would have taken him off after 60. I think the reason why they didn't is because it was still nothing each at that point in time.
Okay.
And they wanted to wait until the game was over before making those defensive changes. That was fine.
Thomas Burns in the $64,000 question, Ryan.
I think it'll be Scales and Carter-Vickers, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think it's a 90-minute game. It's not just a game for, in parts, but you're going to have to split up the game. If Carter-Vickers can only play 60, 70 minutes, then that's all he can play. You've got to take him off regardless and bring on Trusty.
It might go longer.
I know, that's the thing.
You can't
allow it to. Yeah, I mean, and that's where timing is perfect for subs like that. But I think if they've already predetermined how long he's got to play on the pitch, then they've got to stick with that regardless of the way the game is going, because Carter-Vickers' long-term health and long-term availability is more important than a one-off game at Hampden against Aberdeen, in my opinion. I know the team's more important, but I know the team and results, but I think keeping this player fit is going to be so vital for Celtic being successful both domestically and in Europe. So the minute he's starting to struggle or tire, get him off the park and bring on Trusty or Scales, depending on who they've started with.
Yeah. Over 200 people joining us tonight, 10 to 12 on a Wednesday night. Unbelievable number still. People want to talk about Celtic 2, Dundee 0, goals by Alistair Johnson and Arnott Engels settling the issue for Celtic in a 7-minute burst in the second half after they contrived to miss some chances in the first half. Kyogo being the main culprit there. But yeah, job done. 3 points in the bag, Ryan. So that's all you can hope for after the manager made 6 changes. So lots of subplots going on within Celtic tonight. But the manager spoke about getting lots of players back for Saturday, which will give them a freshness, he said. So I'm assuming that all the players that might have been carrying Knox will be back for that, or he seems to think they'll be back.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if all three of them actually start the game now. Alex Bailly didn't play any part in tonight's proceedings whatsoever, which is good because it means that Greg Taylor was fit for the 19. He could play the 19. Not his best game by any stretch. I thought he was very mixed in the game. The same could be said for Ralston. I think the two centre backs were the best defenders on the pitch with regard to that four. Out of the four, those two were the best. But yeah, he's got levels to go up. We know what he's like as a player, both creativeness and at the back when he's defending. We know what he can do. We know what he's capable of. And he's one of those players that you probably want to play at Hampden. He's used to playing there. He's had experience of even scoring at Hampden in that ill-fated game against Rangers. He's got experience. I would want him in the trenches at Hampden because it's going to be a battle between Celtic and Aberdeen, and you need somebody like Greg Taylor who's going to shout and be a mouthpiece as well, because you know you're coming up against a mouthpiece in Graham Shinney, someone that's going to bark orders at his fellow players. I think you need as many of them as possible. You need your McGregors, you need your Johnsons, you need your Taylors, Kasper Schmeichels. It's a game for leaders at Hampden at the National Stadium, and I want as many leaders as possible in that lineup.
Of course, and I think that's what the manager will probably want as well. Thank you to Marky T, new member. Appreciate that. Marky T,
thank you very much.
YouTube member, you want to shout that out, Ryan, and tell the viewers what they can get?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Marky T45. If you want to join Marky and become a member on the YouTube members channel, it is just £2.99 a month. You will receive early video access, priority comments, an exclusive members chat function. Press that join button. If you haven't done so already, please press that subscribe button. It is completely free, and you'll get notified when we go live with videos like this, as well as pre-recorded videos. Post-match press conferences, pre-match press conferences if we're there. Yeah, whatever you're looking for, basically with a Celtic-minded slant, then please join us on the Celtic Way YouTube channel. And thank you to everyone that's done so far. We're continuing to grow, but we can't continue to grow without more support. So hit that subscribe button and join us, basically.
Love it having a pop at your old dad, Ryan, saying I'm on a downer. I'm on a downer. Big Tony, I'm going a downer again. I don't know, am I on a downer? I would like you to know if I was on a downer. I'm never on a downer when Celtic win. They won. I just wanted certain players to impress me more. That's all. So I'm just making that point, probably forcefully, but I think everybody came away from that tonight a wee bit disappointed in certain individuals, Ryan, and knowing that the fringe players just didn't step up. That's my main takeaway from tonight. But delighted with what Alistair Johnson is bringing to the table at the minute.
Yeah, he's the Premiership's joint second top goal scorer at the moment with 4 goals.
With 4.
Yeah,
3 on his travels. That was his first at Celtic this season, Ryan.
Now I know that there's been other right backs in the league that have scored a lot of goals. Granted, they get penalties and free kicks to take as well. But all of these goals are coming from open play from Alistair Johnson as well. He is having to work hard for these, and he's getting the flowers that he deserves. I thought he instantly brought that. I'm happy to talk about something positive with regard to Johnson. He's a positive player. When he comes onto the pitch, first of all, it's quite weird seeing him coming off the bench because I didn't recognise him. I was like, who is this that's on the bench? Is it Francis Turley potentially? And then I realised, it's Johnson coming off the bench. He shouldn't be on the bench to begin with, but hey ho, you've got to do rotation and things like that. But he came on and he immediately made an impact. You can tell when Johnson's on the pitch. He is the heartbeat. He's one of the heartbeats of the team. The team gets a lift whenever he's on the ball, whenever he's on the park. Interestingly enough, as well, James Forrest was still on the park at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or did James Forrest come on the park at that point?
He got the man of the match, Ryan, for a half an hour
50 minutes. Yeah, that's when you know.
That speaks volumes about the rest and some of the stuff that I've been alluding to. Love it. Sorry, Tony, only joking. I know you're only joking. It's all good, man. I don't take myself
Johnson, though. The hierarchy was kind of set out there because Forrest didn't take the captain's armband, even though he was on the pitch.
Yeah, Johnson.
It was Johnson that got the. That's quite interesting, that isn't it? And it shows how much of a leader he is, and he is within the team. And I wonder if Brendan Rodgers has seen that in him as well. He's like, this guy is a guy that I can get behind. It's a guy that I've improved. It's also someone that can take those leadership responsibilities. A guy that, as we talk about that cliche, he gets it. He gets what Celtic are all about, that Canadian heritage, you don't have to look too far into his history to see that he's played ice hockey growing up. He gets that gritty game of he understands what it means to play professional sports and the hard work it takes, and that comes from him onto the pitch and the way that he plays. I just think he can be flashy, he can be a flashy player, but he does the dirty stuff really, really well in the hard yards. And I just appreciate him so much in the Celtic team because I know what he brings.
He's had a circuitous route into professional football, because only a few years ago he was playing semi-professional before he was snapped up by MLS. So, I think he's thankful for his lot and the opportunity that Celtic's given him, but also being a part of Canada's golden generation of international players.
Absolutely.
And I think that's helped. I think it's helped him no end. That not only is he playing at a good standard at club level, but at international level, he's now also playing with an emerging nation who are not renowned for the international football team. But this particular crop of Canada players are achieving, probably overachieving for a nation like Canada. But long may that continue, because it's a win-win for Celtic. Their levels don't drop when he's playing international football either, and he comes back to you, in even greater shape and greater nick. I mean, he's the only non-Hispanic player to make the Copa America 11. That tells you itself the kind of tournament that he had and the kind of player he is. And I think everybody just. I think from the moment he came in and he won the treble within months, everybody just warmed to him, and they loved him. They loved what he brought, and that Ibrox performance in his first game kind of baptism of fire. He's just rocketed skywards since then.
That speaks volumes about the player, though, that was his first game, and Ange Postecoglou trusted him enough to throw him into that cauldron of noise, which it was, and it was a difficult game, and Celtic got a draw, but he was arguably the man of the match on that day for the way that he played. Think about that, and then you compare that with Juranovic's performance on the day, and that was really, really disappointing. So automatically you were like, right, this guy's automatically the number one at right back, and since then he's not been ousted, which is why it's so weird to see him come off the bench, because you're so used to him starting games for Celtic. I am a massive supporter of Alistair Johnson. I think that yes, Greg Taylor's contract is important. I would go as far to say that Alistair Johnson's renewal is just as important, if not more important, for that position. I think Celtic need to tie him down as being one of their highest earners and give him an extended deal, because he's an asset.
I wouldn't tie him down, Ryan. I'd nail him down.
So yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, he'd probably still break through, to be honest. He's hard as nails. So
yeah, to be fair,
I think he's so important. He's a metronome. He's a metronomic figure as well, because he does keep Celtic ticking in a different way though than what Callum McGregor does. He's the metronome in the middle of the park, but from wide areas, Johnson is always there, and he's making things happen.
If you look on the website tomorrow, I've written a piece that was going up at some point, Ryan, midday tomorrow.
Midday, round about that time, yeah.
Midday tomorrow, and I've written about Johnston and what he brings to the Celtic team and the future Celtic captain, all that, if he stays around for long enough to possibly assume that role. But yeah, have a look at that. Ryan, that's past midnight. Somebody needs to get to their bed. It's not me, but somebody needs to drive home at some point. We've been going for nearly 40 minutes. Over 200 people.
One of us is working tomorrow, and the other one's got a day off. And I'll give you all a hint. I'm up at 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow. So you might be up earlier, to be fair, Tony, but I'm the one that's logging on. You get your well-earned day off.
Yes, indeed. Although, well, yeah, I have a day off per se, but yeah, we shall reconvene on Friday and talk everything Aberdeen Celtic in the Scottish League Cup semi-final. Really looking forward to the weekend. That'll be great. Be a wonderful game. Another 3 points for Celtic in the bag. 9 points clear of Rangers. Both Celtic and Aberdeen continue to set the pace at the top of the Premiership. Thank you, Thomas. Great show, Tony and Ryan. Keep up the great work. That's very, very kind. Third time today we've been on, Ryan. And the first one was at 10 o'clock this morning. That's all right. Tony Kaiser coming in and saying Tony's like the guy in the tower from Tron. Ryan, show respect. Don't know what that means, so
No idea.
you can enlighten me, Ryan, on that.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah,
I'm not a Tron
right.
man.
Kaiser, nah, I'm not a Tron man either, but hey, maybe if you can tell us what that means, I would get the reference, but hey, it is what it is. But no, Ryan, I think it's time that you got yourself home, sir. Drive safely and all of that. Kaiser's telling us to watch Tron. Fair enough. Okay, I'll maybe put that in my to-do list. Hazel Finn saying, great chat, guys. And Curly's LBBS saying, get the overtime. Well, I mean, we don't get paid for overtime, Ryan, do we? This is all in a day's work, or the next day's work.
Yeah, but it's not. I enjoy this for what it is as well. It's great to even just talk about the game because it gives you a more balanced view of everything that's happened in the 90 minutes, which is good. And I like the fact that we do these a wee bit later as well because it gives you time to digest the game and look back and maybe look at what people are saying on social media to get a more holistic view of everything that's happened. But yeah, I always enjoy doing these.
I don't mind staying up doing these. They're good fun, and that's why I love the interaction with everybody. Even love it. Hope you well, love it. Top man, appreciate it. But yeah, it's listen, win, lose or draw, we're always here. Sometimes it's later than build because we're doing the work, aren't we? We're doing the website stuff as well, and you know that's part of the job as well. But it's a labour of love, and we love it. It's always good when you do these, Ryan, at midnight, and Celtic have won.
Yep, absolutely. I didn't think we'd be going for 42 minutes after that 2-0 game which Celtic played. We've gone longer than Celtic have actually played football, or at proper football, the football that we expect. But yeah, there's always stuff to talk about, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about tomorrow and in the days ahead.
Yeah, John Summers, great chat, boys. Keep AJ. Yeah, I'd love to keep AJ and even Curly's saying we all enjoy it, lads. Well done here. Well, cheers. Thank you very much. As I say, one of us is in a car somewhere in Glasgow, so I think it's time we kind of give him some respect and let him get home safely at home. And I'm glad the dogs I think they're all in their bed as well, Ryan. Won't tempt fate just in case they jump up and go mental. But yeah, safe trip home, Ryan, says Adam Isaacs. Right, indeed. I echo that. Ryan, yeah, you enjoy tomorrow, sir. All right, I'm sure you'll go all over it again with Hamish and then look forward to Saturday. But that should be good fun. Yeah,
absolutely. We just keep on moving. We keep on moving forward.
Love it. Cheers, guys. Love the banter. Brilliant. Love it. That's what we're here for. As I said before, we do this as honestly and humorously and as passionately as possible. Yeah, so there you go. And Kaiser coming in. Love the channel, lads. Not just for Hamish.
No, don't.
No, okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. Fair enough.
You get the gist of that. Thanks, Kaiser. Appreciate that. We get the gist.
Cheers, fella. Indeed. Just sorry, I didn't read the whole one out. But yep. On that note, Celtic 2, Dundee 0. Celtic still top of the league, or joint top of the league alongside Aberdeen. Celtic top, Ryan. No such thing as joint top, is there? Celtic top.
Goal difference tells one story. No story. Celtic are top.
Celtic's next opponents are Aberdeen in the Scottish League Cup semi-final at Hampden on Saturday evening. Can't wait for that 5:30 kickoff. Ryan, I shall see you on Friday. See everybody else on Friday. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Have a good night.